Don't blink, it's your boy Yink. Welcome to the show. Guys are doing well because I'm having a wonderful day. Got bitten by a mosquito. Right now, guys are doing well on the 16th of August 2005. Welcome to part 1 of our Prison Break review. I hope you guys are going to be ready. We got episode 1 to 9 to do. And I'm planning about an hour to do all of this. At the same time, it's good because we watched almost half a first season in one day. So possibly it's a very good show, or I got nothing to do with my life. I'm gonna go with the second choices, but I am a good person, so yeah, what are we using? We're gonna be using this as a guideline for what happened. The first scene, of course, we got Michael Scofield. We had to what it represents. The tattoo artist says, "Hey, can you tell me what this all represent?" It's like, no. The second video that we see is you can see Michael did a lot of research, a lot of research on a certain Lincoln Borough. We don't know why. We don't know what is the reason why he got the tattoo. Very mysterious. Second scene. This, by the way, is 2 minutes in. He steals from the bank, and because he steals from the bank, he ends up in jail. So there's a court case where he pleads guilty, which sent him to the prison, which is called Fox River Prison. So this all happened very, very quickly. And it's cool because in a show called Prison Break, how you got to prison doesn't really matter. And it's cool because he's also planned to have 2 guns. Now going to Fox River, which is a prison that is maximum security. You got the Fox River, which is kind of cool. We introduce the character. We introduce Bellic, which is kind of the, I believe, in my wholeheartedly, the character is introduced in importance. So we got Michael, first one, got Lincoln, second one, got Veronica, third one, and now we have Bellic. So again, these characters, and the story are super, super important. We got the classic jail, how they are. We meet Sucre. Sucre has to be one of the best written characters because he is el hermano de Toro hermano. Hermano de Toro. So you see people, you see the criminals, right? And the coolest thing is, one of the first scene that you see is a guy getting shanked. So this is supposed to represent that, okay, well, Michael, you're in jail right now. It could be harder than you thought. But it's a guy that we don't know. It's a red cap, so we don't care. And it's not like it's gonna stop Michael, first of all. When I talk about the first place, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say it's very artsy. So one guy gets stabbed. Look what Sucre does. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Prison Fish. And it's like, yo, who would say that? Who would say that? But it's a show. So we got Veronica and her fiance. And the fiance is like, yo, what are you doing up? And she's thinking about Michael. She's thinking about Michael because he's the brother of her ex. So this is to show that Veronica still cares a lot. She's still thinking a lot about it. So why does it matters? Well, first of all, you establish that she's a lawyer, and you establish that she cares, which is important. We have the first sets of the prison, which is really cool because Sucre has friends. And it's not that cool because Sucre leave his friend right away. So the first thing that Michael does is he puts a this is actually very important. He puts down a paper bag, a paper magazine, which is kind of important because later on, there's gonna be a drain. You're gonna see where does the water lead him. So he has a plan of the prison on his body. The tattoo are the prison blueprints. So he has an ID, but he has to make sure, which is his escape plan. So he talks about how he wants to see Lincoln, and then Sucre asks him why he wants to see Lincoln, and then the first thing he say is like, okay, well, he's my brother. So now we have flashbacks. In this show, the flashbacks are not that great because again, you're comparing it to the last episode. You compare it to the last episode in which we had a flashback from Lost, which are super important, and you're putting them here where they have the story, but they're not incremental to the story. Lost flashback were incremental to the character development. These aren't. You got Sucre in jail. And again, Sucre is a simple character, which is why we love him. He's writing a letter to his wife, Maricruz, and doesn't know what to write, so he asked Michael for help. What I love about this is that this is a very good way to establish that Sucre trusts Michael, and it's a really good way to say, yo, they have each other's back. Like, for example, he writes a letter. This letter is important because he asks you to marry him. And he's asking Michael for help, so that means I trust you. You know, otherwise, fuck you, I wouldn't help. You wouldn't help. So that's kind of important. We got LJ. LJ being the son of Lincoln. LJ, in this case, is not super important. But again, it plays in the trope of I'm going to be looking like I'm complaining a lot from the show. It's because I care about it, because they're showing so much to me. So this is to prove that LJ is following in his father's footsteps. So this is a very cinematic, very theatrical way for Lincoln to realize that because he was absent as a father, LJ, Lincoln Jr., is going to be following his footsteps. And it's going to be a wake-up call to say, yo, your son is kind of fucking up a lot. And because your son is kind of fucking up a lot, you have to step up as a father. This is why they're putting this. But for the character development, it doesn't serve a purpose. LJ gets arrested for drug dealing. The first thing that he does is kind of cool because Michael asks to create a lot of information that he possibly knows. For example, and again, this I'm going to show you why I'm saying that it's very theatrical. It's very theatrical because the way they're talking, and it just doesn't make sense because somebody talks like that. But it has to show. It has to. I see the first episode as a bad movie, but a bad movie that you know every single quote from.
I wouldn't get excited though if I were you, Fish.
For example, why they call him Fish? It's not explained. There's no. So it's like a bad movie that you know every single. Whatchamacallit, line from, and you kind of have fun making fun of it.
You ain't sniffing none of PI. Why's that? Because John Abruzzi runs it.
John Abruzzi.
John Abruzzi.
See, this is so freaking cringe. This is so freaking cringe, but I love it. I'm complaining, but it's fun to complain, you know? So the next scene is Michael get close to John Abruzzi. John Abruzzi is a good character. I like John Abruzzi because he's complex, right? He's not black and white. He's gray. He's really not important. Now, the cool thing is, Michael gives him a crane. Now, the crane, if you saw the scene where he was prepping himself, there's a crane there. The crane is going to be important because it's a way to give a message without giving a message. So, for example, John Abruzzi is part of the mafia. John Abruzzi has this freaking informant going against him. And Michael says, yo, I know where he is. So he takes a picture of the informant and he sends it to a friend of John Abruzzi. John Abruzzi is like, yo, who is this guy? And his friend says, I don't know. The guy gave us a paper crane. And Michael just gave him a paper crane. So now we have the first interaction between Michael and Sarah. I gotta say, Michael and Sarah and Michael and Sucre are possibly some of the best scene in the show, because you really believe it. It's over. The word I'm looking for isn't cringe. The word I'm looking for is oversold. You're trying to sell me something so hard that I know that you're trying to sell me something, and it's like a car salesman. If you're trying too hard, you're too aggressive. The show is so aggressive and making me want to believe things. However, when I do allow them to teach me stuff, I'm learning some good stuff. For example, in this one, you see, Michael, what he's gonna do, he's gonna do a paper crane. This is super important. So what he's gonna do is gonna put the paper crane down the drain. So you guys remember when he put the magazine in the drain? So what he did was he blocked the drain. We want to see if the paper crane is gonna flow all the way to the paper, the magazine. That means they're connected. If the paper crane doesn't go there, it's because it got lost somewhere. Then he got to figure out where did it get lost. If he can figure out where it got lost, then he can figure out how to get out of the prison. Right? So, again, very seductive, very flirtatious, which is kind of cool. So, it's actually really well played because Sarah, being a woman in a prison of men, has to be used to being flirted with, has to be used to trying with people trying to get into her pants because she's a woman. Michael does the job perfectly well because again, it's not like yo you're sexy. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna look like a bad boy. You like bad boys. I can tell you like bad boys. Let's do this. Actually, I actually do like that. We got the first mention of the agency. So you got this guy. And you got this guy. So why they're important is because you learn that Lincoln, those guys are very important. However, the way they're portrayed, it's not great. So, you got this guy. This guy is super important and super nice. Remember this guy. The other guy doesn't matter. Okay? So, you learn that Lincoln didn't do it, and he's being framed. These are the people that are making sure that Lincoln, the truth doesn't stay, and Lincoln stays framed. Why is that not important? Because the first guy served as a way of being like, yo, I'm a good cop, and you're okay. So there's two cops. They could be good cop and bad cop, right? The bad cop, the guy that's willing to go all the way. The first cop is like, no, my morals won't allow it. However, he seems weak, and whenever he is there, it's to make the other guy look better. For example, there's gonna be a girl that's gonna snitch, and she's dangerous. So he's going to kill it, right? Now the first guy is super nice because he allowed her to live and say, I'm so sorry I didn't kill you. Which is a great thing because it shows that he's moral. He's not willing to kill because it's not the righteous thing to do. However, the other guy behind him kills and it's like, yo, they get the job done. So there's always this kind of balance of good versus evil, or I got morals, you don't have morals, or I'm a good cop, you're a bad cop. However, since the bad cop has more importance as a character, the bad cop is seemingly the way. Understand? Cool. You got two people. You got a math teacher and a math student. They argue about the algebra function of x. Who are you gonna believe? The teacher, because he's a teacher. But you don't even know the algorithm. Right? Kind of cool. We have Lincoln, and he is in church. Now, this is actually a cool scene because it does show that Lincoln kind of gave up. Lincoln character is also one of the better written characters in the show. The very pretty written character on the show is possibly Michael. I would say John Abruzzi. I would say Sucre. I would say the characters are well written. D.B. Cooper is amazing. Why is that important, Lincoln? Because Lincoln is going on death row. So they're going to show him at church. Now, there's no mention of, yes, he was religious before. There's no mention of, yes, he believed. There's no mention of, he comes from a religious family. Now, because there's no mention of that, you could see it as just he's religious. But if you want to go further, he's different. He's not going to be dying soon. So he's looking for guidance from God. First of all. Second of all, it also shows how Lincoln acts. Lincoln is very calm. Now, what I adore about Lincoln is that the way he's talking to the priest. I think it's episode 8. There's gonna be a cop, right? And the cop is gonna be a riot, and the cop is gonna face 4 or 5 criminals, and Lincoln is gonna say one thing. He's gonna say this to the guy: "Stop apologizing. It makes you look weak." So Lincoln seems like a criminal, but he's actually a good guy, and the way he's acting with the employees, the way he's acting with the people that are there, is the proof of him being a good guy. Lincoln going to church could also be seen as a good guy because he's religious. Being religious mean that you're pious. Being pious mean that you have rules to follow, rules that other people don't follow. We have Veronica and the fiance. This is important because Veronica and the fiance. Veronica is thinking about her ex again. Now, the craziest thing is she doesn't like Lincoln, or she doesn't. I don't know if she likes him, right? But the closer she gets, the more she thinks about it, the more the possible romance. So it's not a character like, oh my god, you're cute. It's not like Sarah and Michael. Sarah and Michael is really well made because it takes time, 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 and oops. Relationship. We got Sucre, right? You got Sucre who's freaking out because Monica Rose didn't answer him and giving shit to Michael because he's using words like passion. And again, it's super super cool because he's like, she's gonna think I'm fruity, she's gonna think I'm a okay, this show is old, but she's gonna say I'm a sissy. From now on I'm only saying yes, I'm only saying no, and I'm only saying love. That's actually funny because it's a bromance between Sucre and everything. We got the Warren and Michael. Now the Warren and Michael is one of the relationship that works a little bit less because there's a bunch of moments where it feels like it's heavily acted. It feels like it's not natural. It feels like it's overselling. However, when it does work, it does work. For example, in this scene, it works. The guy's like, why are you here? You're smart, you had a good job. What made you go that way? Right? And the Warren's like, you're not like the other con here. Which would work because most people that are in charge of prison started as a prison guard. They didn't start as a prison officer, you know? And there's like a hierarchy. So for example, when you look at police, if you look at army, look at prison, there's a hierarchy. There's a very military system, which is the case. Even to a certain degree, firefighter is the same thing. So the Warren shows him the the price for this, the Taj Mahal. Now this is cool because this is gonna be serving as a link between Michael and Warren. However, it doesn't serve a purpose in the fact that Michael says no. So it's like, okay, well, I got this perfect excuse to be close to Warren, but I said no. So this is a scene where Michael, as a character, is gonna be seemingly the smartest character in the show. However, the way they sell it, the way they tell you that he's the most smart characters is by him overplaying his cards, overplaying as smart. In situation like, for example, with John Abruzzo, situation like Teabag, this is worth it. But if he's overthinking the Warren, which he doesn't need to, and also it feels bad because he'll overthink people like the Warren, which is nice to him, but he won't overthink somebody like Sucre, which is his best friend. Somebody that's super reliant on the plan. I'm gonna charge my phone, I'll be right back. I want you all on my finger, all the good times, I done myself on the internet. What I'm trying to say here is with Michael, they're building a badass. They're building a main character. They're building a guy that's over smart. You don't need to. It's episode number 1. You don't need to. Go to the next scene with LJ. Now LJ is resistant toward his mom and is resistant towards his dead dad. This is to show that LJ is missing his father and is acting out, which is a good scene, but you don't need it because you already showed LJ being arrested for using drugs or for selling drugs. So you already showed that LJ is in that path. So you got Michael and Veronica. Michael's like, Veronica's like, why did you do that? This is not like you. And it's weird because Veronica isn't dumb. She should know She should know that, yo. Um, she should know that. Um, she should know that Michael is there for a reason. You should know that this is also where Lincoln is. So you got the two government employees that go and talk to the. They go and talk to the whatchamacallit. They go and talk to the priest. Their goal is to have Lincoln execute faster. So they know that Veronica is going against them, and they know there's a guy called Michael in there that knows a lot. So because they know that, they want Lincoln to be done, that we cannot succeed. Try to prove that a dead man was innocent. It's too late. John Abruzzi is receiving a call from his friend, which is the famous call I told you about. Like, yo, there is this guy that gave us information. He had a paper train. You got DB Cooper, which is this guy. This guy is actually really cool. He plays really well. So, for example, he's an older guy, so he got special rights, and he's been incarcerated for a while, and his mentality is that of a prisoner. He's been there for a super, super, super long time. John Abruzzi come in. John Abruzzi gets in trouble. Michael save him. So the Warren says to Michael's like, yo, why are you messing with John Abruzzi? Do you know who he is? And once again, Michael's like, nope. Now, in this one, it's kind of well played because the Warren kind of needs Michael. So is he nice to Michael because he needs him? Or is he nice to Michael because like, yo, you're stupid. You're not an inmate. I had a t-shirt like that. I had a t-shirt that when I was in high school, I was bullied a lot. So I started doing it. I started hanging out with bad people. People that were doing drugs, people that were violent, people that would leave class, people that brought weapons to school. One of the guys I was with got arrested in class. That way people wouldn't fuck with me. However, these guys, I wasn't the same. And the principal came in and said, why are you hanging with them? I didn't tell him like, yo, they protect me. I didn't answer. When they had my diploma, it's like, I'm proud of you. I knew that you were different. This is what the Warren does here. So you got Veronica who's looking for more information. She's digging. Lincoln and LJ are meeting. Now this is horribly acted, horribly written, but it worked so freaking well. It's a classic of, oh, you're not my father, you weren't there, you weren't around. Oh, you're not my father, oh, you want to be my father now. Well, too late. And Lincoln's like, yeah, I know that I've been messing around, I know that I wasn't there, but listen. However, the relationship here is amazing, and it's so needed, you know? Why is it so needed? Because it's a case of we don't like each other. So when Lincoln comes in, so why am I saying that's badly acted? Why am I saying that's overwritten? Is because it's super predictable. It's super predictable, and it doesn't serve any purpose because the next time they're gonna meet LJ and Lincoln, they'll be friendly, and it's like they never hated each other. However, it does a good job in storytelling. It does a good job in telling, hey, they don't have a good relationship. They're working on bettering it. So when it happens, you want it to be good. You want the father and the son to be close. I'm a son. I have a father. I want my father and I to be close. You know? So we got Maricruz, which is kind of crazy because Maricruz does the exact same thing. The exact same thing as Lincoln and LJ did, but the opposite. So Maricruz, she's gonna break up with Sucre during season 1. Like it's a couple episode 2. And they show this perfect couple. They show that she literally says yes to him marrying her. So then you're telling me, Ink, why show that they have a good relationship when it is to be destroyed? Because you're giving me hope that this works. You're giving hope to one of my favorite characters, Sucre, is the light outside of the walls. He has everything. Lincoln has nothing, but he has nothing to lose because he's gonna die. Sucre has everything to gain. Now, there's the thing. Sucre is the only one of the group that doesn't want to leave, doesn't want to escape. Lincoln, right, wants to escape, but he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a chance. You understand? Both are opposite, and both of the relationship are opposite. Lincoln wants to have a son because he doesn't have a lot of places left, and Sucre, he wants Veracruz, willing to go out to get her back. That's actually cool. Get more of Sarah and Michael romance. I'm gonna skip those because they're not super interesting. They're mostly just like romance, and then it's so we just watched Lost. The great thing with Sarah and Michael is that it's always about romance. The bad thing about it is that there's gonna be time where like she doubts him. She doubts him, but the relationship doesn't change. You understand what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of weird. You got Michael meeting CPAC. Now this is also super important because CPAC is a really well written character. Now, except for T-Bone, in the first episode, we met everybody that's important in the show. So, John Abruzzi gave PIs to Michael, and he's like, okay, well, that's pretty good. You got Michael and his brother. Now, this is also important because this is the relationship. This is what they have together. Because you see the relationship. You see the relationship isn't perfect. Lincoln is mad at Michael because Michael sacrificed himself for him. At the same time, he understood. And at the same time, Lincoln would have done the same for Michael, you know? They have this good relationship too. He tells give me a sec. Yeah, this is so cool. So basically, Lincoln is like, yo, what's going on? And it's like, I figured out how to escape. And this is cool. This is the coolest part. Because Michael shows him his tattoos. Like, this is the plan. This is how we get out. Now, it is a cool place. But once again, it's Michael showing that he's superior to Lincoln. Which is kind of weird because Lincoln should be there, you know? And it's also weird because Lincoln has been part of the jail system for a while, right? So it is a bit odd. But at the same time, hey, we like it. Season 1, episode 2. You see, I'm skipping a lot of stuff. The reality is I only watched the show this morning in the last 10 years. So I retain what I retain, and when I don't retain, I don't retain. Sound good? So we got Michael and DB Cooper trying to get closer to him in one way. The first way is, okay, I want to get close to him. The second way is he knows that it's DB Cooper, but he doesn't have the proof. We're trying to figure it out. Okay. I want you out of my room. So, perfect. So what's going on right here is DB, like I said, DB is super important because DB is the perfect example of an inmate that knows he's going to be there for a while. Doesn't want to get in trouble, he just wants to do his time, you know? So when he sees his battle, he tells Michael, this is a battle. Now, it's not because the relationship between DB, this is what's weird about the show. The relationship between DB and Michael, the relationship between DB and Lincoln is great. With Michael, he sees a cool dude, he sees like a nice guy, so he takes care of Michael. And with Lincoln, he says, okay, well, this guy is in the same boat as I am. You're gonna die here. Might as well be nice to him. The problem with DB is the relationship with other people doesn't exist. It's almost non-existent. There's a little bit with him and John Abruzzi, but there's nothing with T-Pac, there's nothing with C-Pac. So the character, when he hacks, or when he's involved, is amazing, but you don't involve him enough. Understand? So we have Michael. Michael shows. Now this is extremely important, this scene, because Michael showed that the tattoo of his body were all used to escape the plan, right? So what you're doing is, do, 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 do. Just to see you and I. Twister. So. Okay, cool. So basically, you got Sucre and Michael, which is nice. You see also Michael writing some stuff. You see Michael planning a lot of stuff, which is kind of good but bad because they don't explain it. So, for example, with the tattoos, right? The tattoos are kind of meaningless until you know that they're meaningful. The writing is meaningless until it becomes meaningful. Don't give me everything at once, I understand, but also do not make me wait for everything. Give me something, because if every single time the plot is the same, you show me something in the beginning and then at the end you explain it. It gets boring fast. So the toilets won't flush, which means there's a shakedown because everybody's flushing their shit, right? Now what happened is Sucre has a shanks. Now this is the insane thing. Sucre at no point showed that he was violent. Sucre at no plan showed that he had an allegiance. Sucre at no point did show that he had enemy. But he keeps his shanks. Why? So then the warrant comes in. Michael takes one for Sucre. It doesn't work. So Sucre becomes he becomes what should we call it? He goes to shoot, which is the solitary. Michael and Lincoln meet in the church, which is a good way. Now, it's a great way because you showed in first episode that Lincoln would go no matter what to the church. So it's kind of cool. And it's nice because Michael talking to him, like, okay, well, I didn't know that you were going there. However, it's also a great plot because you got a guy like CPAT. CPAT was also a church. Is a reason to whatchamacallit. It's so nice. It's so nice because you give a common place. There's common people. However, the common place where there's common people only serve a purpose if not everybody that's in there is meaningful. Like you only can identify 3 people, and it's Michael, CPAT, and Lincoln, which is good because you could put a character like, I don't know, like a friend of John Abruzzi. It would work. Now you got the biggest part of the plan. Michael will know this is true that he needs. That's true. It's super important. What is that? I got a text. The one icing is hard to find. Yeah. Cool. I got somebody that's giving me a good idea for content today. That's him right now. Right now what we're doing is fishing for comments, because comments do help. So Michael is looking for this crew, and then you introduce Theodore Bagwell. Theodore Bagwell is one of the characters that is the best written of the show. So nobody likes Theodore in the very beginning, and then at the end he has a chance for the redemption. However, the thing with Theodore is his redemption takes so fucking long that you gave up. Lincoln redemption with his son happened in season 1. Michael redemption of Lincoln escape happened in season 1. Sucre getting his wife back happened in season 1. Theodore Bagwell redemption happens in season 4. Why is that important? Because you don't know if the show is going to be on that long. So you're basically writing this amazing story for this amazing character, but it's only gonna happen if the show happens, right? So Theodore's like, yo, I can offer you protection. He's super fruity. He's like, yo, if you're fruity with me, you'll be okay. And Michael's like, nope. You see Veronica goes in. And Veronica goes in is actually quite nice because this is the only thing that happens outside of the prison. The show is called Prison Break. It's supposed to take place in a prison. Veronica being on the outside is good because it has to do with something with the prison. I'm gonna be honest. and this is gonna be something that's very bad to say. I don't remember much of the show, but I remember later season sucks. When it's about the prison break, it's amazing. When it's about something else, it's not cool. You understand? Yeah. So you see another flashbacks. Second one of Veronica and Lincoln together, meaning they were happy, but it served no purpose because you're establishing a relationship where there's no relationship. She knows that Lincoln is there. If there was a desire to have a relationship, she would have tried. The fact that Lincoln is not guilty doesn't make it a better relationship. You know what I mean? She didn't break up with him because he went to jail. She didn't break up with him because he killed somebody, right? And also, we don't know how much time it's been since he's been in jail, but she now has a fiance, which means that they broke up a while ago, and she moved on. She didn't get a fiance, then realized her ex-boyfriend was not guilty, and then fall back in love with him. So you're creating a plot where she'll fall back in love with him. But for that, you need a build-up. You need to say, okay, well, guess what? They're going back together because they're talking. They're going back together because they're doing a lot. However, the way the show does it, which is good, is she's going to help out LJ a lot. And by helping out LJ a lot, she'll get closer to LJ. Getting closer to LJ is, for example, I'm going to be using one of my favorite shows. My favorite show ever is Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead. So you take Walking Dead, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, doesn't matter. There's a character called Michonne. Michonne is the main character girlfriend. And they've been together for a while. So they introduced Michonne in season 3, and there's a relationship at season 7. There's not a lot of moment between Rick, which is the main character, and Michonne, which is the girlfriend, to put them together. However, there's a lot of moments where her, Michonne, and Carl, the son of Rick, are super close. I mean, there's still a bond being built. It's a classic case of these characters are related by blood, but also related. So, for example, Michael and Lincoln. See, even when Sarah, the doctor, she knows that Lincoln is Michael's brother. She's like, oh yeah, Lincoln's a good dude. Lincoln's a good dude. So it means something, you know? So Michael goes back, and Theodore told him, yo, you're not there. You're not there. If you're there, this is my territory. So he steals something. He steals something. Now, Belek goes in and see this. He see the message. Now the message in itself doesn't serve a purpose. Because you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. So this in itself is a stupid scene. Because you're showing me something that means nothing. However, the build-up behind it is actually good. Because you're showing that Belek is not dumb. And that Belek is a good cop. You're also telling Belek that he saw how the Pope treated Michael. He's like, fuck that. I'm not going to allow this guy to have a better treatment than the other inmate. This guy's a criminal. He'll be treated as a criminal. You're right. That's good. You got Jenna Bruzzi. It's nice because Jenna Bruzzi and Michael takes a long time to do, which I kind of like. You need the head of the mafia. So this scene is also important because you need the head of the mafia. Now, what's being said that they're asking John for results. But however, what's important is, okay, well, guess what? It's kind of crazy in a couple of ways. Because it shows, it's crazy in 3 ways, actually. First of all, it shows how John is important. For the mafia, entering the mafia, and one of the high rank of the mafia that comes in for him, important. It shows that Jenna Bruzzi is still important in the organization. It shows that they're still trusting him. But it's stupid because they're asking him to find a witness, however he's in jail. How is he supposed to find a witness in jail? You're asking the guy that's inside to find a guy that's outside. Doesn't make any sense. You got Sucre who's begging for help. But then, it's super nice. It's super nice. Why? Because it shows that Sucre is a good dude. Sucre is not a criminal. Okay, got a scene between. Give me a sec. What that scene? There's a scene that again established there's gonna be a battle between the whites and the black, which is current gang culture. The riot in itself, the battle, doesn't serve a lot of purposes. It ultimately serves a couple purposes, but the purposes are not enough. So it serves purposes of CPAC is gonna help Michael, but since Michael is working for the whites, CPAC refused to help him. That's basically it, right? However, at the end, CPAC helped Michael, so it doesn't serve a purpose. But where this is fun is that they're introducing prison culture. So they show that's happening in prison. There should be a prison culture, right? But I think it's missing from the show. There should be more than just a little bit. So we got the guys that are working out. The guys that are working out is cool because it does show that they're kind of working together. They're kind of getting ready. Michael goes to T-Bone to get the weapon. CPAC see this is like, okay, Michael's a piece of shit, which is kind of funny. Veronica get the footage to show that Lincoln did shoot the guy. So then she's still Veronica. What is interesting here is she's on the fence on where she believes that he's innocent or not. Got Bellic going to Michael, which is again, it's a stupid scene because everybody's like, oh, this new guy is super important. Fish is super important. However, in the case of Bellic, it works because the warden came in to vouch for Michael receiving better treatment. Like, okay, well, there's something is wrong here. And Bellic doesn't like Michael because of that. Alan Schweitzer. It you? It? I don't know, you tell me. So yeah, so you need the other Schweitzer. CPAC, he gives up on the medication, and he's not gonna help Michael, which kind of is a problem because this is actually well written. Because back in the beginning of the episode, you got Michael talking to Lincoln, and he's like, yo, I need those pills, otherwise the whole plan doesn't work. And Lincoln's like, yo, you're dumb because if the plan doesn't work because it's running on the pills, what would it do? But the fact that CPAC is there and said, no, fuck your pills, you establish how important those pills are, just to take them away. So this is serving a good one, because you're establishing a need, you're establishing a obstacle to the need, and that obstacle will stop you from getting to the need. So you're creating a quest to get something. For example, okay, Michael needs those pills. As simple as this. This is actually really well written when you think about it. When you really take the time to think about it, it's so freaking interesting because you're getting a need, right? Which is the pills. To get to the need, Michael give money. It's too easy. There's no story there. So then, getting another need. There's this key that I need, this tree that I need. What I need is getting to another guy, because you get the other guy, CPAC won't help you. So your answer to the second need is the obstacle to the first need, which gives you a reason to have the quest for finding the need. But once you find that quest and you do that quest, and you have everything that you need. You have the screwdriver and the pills. That's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty freaking cool. We see Lincoln and Veronica. Veronica doubts him, but then he's like, "Yo, you're right." Veronica acts really well. Look at this. She's crying. Really good actress. And then she tells him, the first thing that she tells is, yo, I think it's you. Like, Veronica, you have to trust me, I never did this. And he's like, if I meant anything to you, please give me a chance to prove that I'm innocent. So she gave him a chance to prove that he's innocent, but it's not looking good for him. The exact same way of the screwdriver and the pills. So you got Lincoln that says he's innocent. Veronica believes him. She goes to see. She goes to make the effort, get information. She realizes that he might be criminal, which means that he's not gonna get to the obstacle. He's not gonna get to the goal of getting the girls and getting saved, right? But at the same time, if he can convince her, she'll work for him. Which doesn't make a lot of sense. You know why it doesn't make a lot of sense? Because even if Lincoln is found innocent, the show's called Prison Break. It's not called Law and Order. There's still gonna be Prison Break, innocent or not. How that makes sense? So it doesn't really matter. The whole thing. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Okay, the season 1 pilot is what? Michael Scofield, a genius engineer, ends up in jail to organize his brother escape, condemned wrongfully to death. The second one is Alan. Michael needs two things: a medication, which will allow him to say that he's diabetic, and a screw that will help him for his evasion plan. So these are the whatchamacallit? These are the introduction from the Netflix. Okay, so I forgot to tell you the medication was what? Medication is to stimulate that he has diabetes. So diabetic will need a insulin shot and a couple of times a week. I don't know how it works, but he needs to go to the infirmary, because infirmary is easier to get, and the train, which we saw in the first episode, this is the second episode, leaves the duck. This is the way to go. This is the way to go. We'll finish this episode because I have to go. The phone is at 40% and this phone is at 10%. But 2 episodes in 46 minutes is actually pretty good. So Sucre tells her, please let me call Maricruz. Let me call Maricruz. Now this is Hector, and it's so cool because I didn't tell you, but Hector is kind of the bad guy of Sucre's story. Hector wants Maricruz. The whole goal of Sucre to get Maricruz. So this is the obstacle in what it gets. However, I will say that Hector is the reason Sucre will end up in the plan. When I told you that it's complex, but not that complex, kind of simple. Sucre doesn't want to leave, but because there's a guy that's going after this girl, he's gonna want to leave. My mustache is going to my nose, and it's annoying to a degree that you don't know because it's tickling. So yeah, we got the government. Yeah, so Hector tells them that Sucre is not a good dude, because it doesn't call Maricruz start to doubt, which is explained here, which is beautifully put. Because season 1 you tell me that Maricruz loves Sucre loves Maricruz. See, episode number 2 you tell me like, no, there's a problem because there's a guide that will convince Maricruz that Sucre doesn't like her. Yeah? That's cool. The other government guys, the two guys, talking to the man that we met in episode number 1, and saying who got the tape. Now, this is kind of cool because it's kind of cool because we met that guy. We know who did. We know that this will lead her or him or the government. If they will lead him to Veronica, so Veronica could be in danger. Now, at this point, we don't know much about the government worker, right? Which kind of sucks. Why? Because it doesn't show that, okay, well, they'll kill her. So you got her that's asking this other girl, Veronica asking this other girl, because her son was also wrongfully accused, and their cases are similar. So it's like, okay, well, was your son proven innocent? Because I may think that he's innocent, and I think that what happened to your son is about to happen again. I'm gonna be listening to the scene with you guys. There's no copyright, don't worry.
Excuse me, is this the Simmons residence? The Simmons? I'm
Veronica, I don't know then.
I'm looking for Crab Simmons. Are you related? He's my son. Is he around? No. You tell me where I can find him.
Lady, go away. I can't help you. Can't you understand me?
Look, I'm sorry. It's just a man's life is at stake, and maybe your son can help him.
Crab can't help nobody, Lady.
He's dead.
He's dead.
So yeah, so Lincoln said that Crab was a guy that knows the truth. And he was also on the thing. So they hired him to kill a guy, him and Crab. The guy was already dead. So, okay, I didn't tell you the video. So, the video, why is Lincoln going to go in prison? I didn't tell you that, which is super important. Lincoln killed the president, or the vice president brother, right? However, he didn't kill it. He didn't kill him. So Lincoln was supposed to pay to kill him, but then he came in, and even the premise, I want to kill the guy, but I didn't kill the guy because he was already dead. It's kind of crazy, right? It's like, no, I didn't kill him. You were still gonna kill him for cash. You just didn't get the chance, which is, listen. So you got the race war, which is actually pretty good because there's a prison kind of riot, right? So this is also super important because again, it's the white and the black. But it goes to show Michael kind of shows his camp. T-Bag thinks that Michael killed his homie. But Michael only wanted to get the weapon. Now, Michael does something that is very important here. I'm gonna show you. He gets his crew, and he proved to CPAC that he's not with the whites. But again, and this is the crazy part, he gained the friendship of CPAC, but he lose the friendship of Theodore. And Theodore's a bit more dangerous. However, he doesn't need Theodore. The warrant comes in, and he's like, yo, you guys are on lockdown. This is the problem. We have a very nice scene with Theodore showing how much he cared about his girlfriend, which is his boyfriend, but his prison talk. So that's kind of cool. Veronica who gets a call from the Simmons, which is again from that has information on Crab. This is kind of important. This is super cool. Look at this.
Even the boys knew what they were getting into. They were just pawns in a big game. What? Who's here, Letitia? Don't try to follow me. Don't find me. I won't trust you.
So this is meaningful, but not meaningful. Why is it meaningful? Because she has the truth. She can prove that maybe Lincoln didn't do it. Why is it not meaningful? Because Michael talked to her a year ago. So now we have the vice president that calls the two guys and say, yo, take care of this. So Michael talks about how important it is, and he even has the measure of the screws. The screws is too big, so he's gonna scrap it, which is super important.
Find out, you know.
So CPAC gave the medication to Michael. Michael was able to prove that he's diabetes. He got diabetes.
I've been told for a while.
However, again, it's part of the plan. It's dumb because it's working a little perfectly. There's no hiccups. It's working perfectly. Everybody's every piece of the chessboard is going together, and you're just like, okay, oh my god, I'm so happy. When I was a kid, this would make me super happy because I'm like, oh my god, this is perfect. As an adult, I'm like, oh, it's a bit too easy. Lastly, at the end, Michael is sent by Bellic to see Jenna Abruzzi. Jenna Abruzzi is like, yo, I need you to tell me who it is. I need to give me the name, and I'm gonna torture you for it. Which leads to ultimately Michael losing his toe. So yeah, because Michael is losing his toe means that Jenna Abruzzi is not willing to play anymore. Now the whole plan is, so right now, who get involved is Dee Cooper, Jenna Abruzzi, Sucre, and Lincoln. Michael, Jenna Abruzzi, D.B. Cooper, and Lincoln. There's 4 people right now, and one of them is gonna be playing nice, which is super important in the long run. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here. It's episode number 1 and 2. 54 minutes. That's pretty good.